Hello and welcome to another video with the Bearded Tech Guy. In this video, I will be taking a look at several of my favorite smart home automations, as well as several smart home devices that help make those automations work. The intention of this video is to showcase a lot of the automations and routines that I have inside my smart home that help me save time and make things easier. And while I will be going over devices and products that help me achieve those automations, I'm hoping that this video will help you come up with some smart home ideas, or maybe help you decide it's time to get into home automation. Because of how much I will be covering, I won't be able to spend too much time on any one device or automation. But I will have links in the description below for any videos I already have out that go into more detail, and I do plan on making a separate video for each automation covered in this video over time. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and enable notifications to be one of the first to know when I release a new video. I'll also have links in the description below for all the different devices I use in my smart home. Also note that while some of the items in this video I did receive to review, they are being included in this video because I chose to include them and use them every day. For complete transparency, I will have a list at the end of the video of which items those are, as well as a list in the description below. And with all of that, let's jump in! Let's start outside my home with one of my favorite robots, the Husqvarna Automower 315X. With my Automower, I never have to worry about spending hours every week mowing the lawn. The Automower is super quiet, which allows for me to run it at night, which means that I never have to avoid being outside when the lawn is being cut. And with the built-in cellular modem and GPS, I'm able to control my lawnmower from anywhere in the world, make changes to its schedule, and even connect it to my Google Home voice assistant and If This Then That. With If This Then That integration, I'm able to stop, pause, park, or start my Automower based on different events. Which brings me to my next smart home device, the Tempest Smart Weather Station. With the Tempest Weather Station, I'm able to get real-time alerts on my phone for what's happening in my backyard, and I don't have to worry about recharging it, as it has a built-in rechargeable battery and solar panels. The Smart Weather Station is able to detect lightning storms that are approaching my area, which allows for me to trigger events such as sending my Automower home through If This Then That, or send out an audible notification on my Google Home if my SmartThings Smart Hub is in pool mode. I also have rules set up for if wind is detected over a specific speed to also send my Automower home, and to allow it to continue mowing if the wind dies down. I had originally backed the Tempest Weather Station on Kickstarter in 2019, mostly due to promised native SmartThings support at launch. Unfortunately, after almost a full year since the release, SmartThings support is still not there, and doesn't appear to be being worked on, even though there is a decent amount of interest within the owner community. I'm still hoping for added support for better control of my automations based on outside conditions, but at this point I'm not holding my breath. Another outdoor robot I own that is a giant help is the Dolphin S300i Robot Pool Cleaner. With the Robot Pool Cleaner, I'm able to toss it into the pool, turn it on, and not have to spend a large amount of my time scrubbing the sides and bottom of my pool. The version I have does have Bluetooth, so I can control it from my phone, but personally I don't have a need for that. I do wish that I could connect it to either my Smart Hub directly, or If This Then That, so I could turn it off if a lightning storm comes out of nowhere, but that's not really a big deal to me. While I don't have any automations around the Robot Pool Cleaner, I wanted to include it because it is a really big time saver, and I recommend considering some type of automatic pool cleaner if you are a pool owner. I like the model I have, but there are plenty of other brands and models with more or less features. The last bit of smart home tech that I have outside are a handful of Nest outdoor cameras and Nest Hello smart video doorbells. I went with Nest for a few different reasons. The main reason for me is the constant 24/7 recording. While motion detection recording is nice and means you don't need your camera hardwired, there's always a chance of motion detection not catching something or being too slow. With always on recording, even if Nest misses something, I can always go back and review what happened. I've had my Nest outdoor cameras for several years now, and I've not had any issues with them outside of making sure they have power. I also have a Nest Hello doorbell that I've had for even longer, and it has not given me any issues. As an added bonus for using the Nest products, I'm able to easily pull up live video on my Google Home Nest Hub and Nest Hub Max, and if someone rings my doorbell, the video feed will show up automatically. This is a really handy feature that I'm glad to have. Another added bonus is the recently released Works with Google integration with Nest and SmartThings. This allows for you to include Nest cameras, doorbells, and thermostats as devices right within SmartThings, and even allows you to include certain aspects of those devices within automations. For example, you can actually use the motion detection on a Nest camera to trigger events within SmartThings. At the time of this recording, the integration does not include the Nest Protect or Nest X EL smart locks. Moving into my front hallway, I have 3 smart switches right by the door that do different things. One controls the outside lights and is automated through an automation piston within WebCore. The piston controls when the light turns on or off based on the sunrise and sunset for that day. This helps save electricity and keeps my lights from being on when not really needed. Another switch controls my front hallway light. This will turn on if the front door is open and it's between sunset and sunrise, and is also accomplished with WebCore. third switch is actually just installed into power and doesn't control any loads. I added it because there is enough room and wanted everything to look nice and uniform. All 3 switches are GE Z-Wave Plus switches that support double tap. This allows for you to have an extra button by double tapping up or double tapping down quickly. One of the switches is currently used to turn off all the house lights by double tapping down. This is a great automation for if I'm in a hurry and want to make sure all the lights are off. I am planning on adding more automations as I do have 5 other double tap buttons plus 2 extra for my unused switch. So if you have any ideas for what I could use them for, make sure to let me know in the comments below. My coat closet also has a contact sensor on it that controls its light. When the door opens, the light turns on, and when the door closes, the light turns off. Now with the coat closet having 2 sliding doors, I did have to make a slight adjustment to my contact sensor and replace the included magnet with a low profile, flatter magnet. Doing so allows for either door being opened to trigger the light to turn on, and once the doors are both shut, the light will turn off. With the original magnet, it would not have fit between the sliding doors, and I would have to use 2 separate contact sensors. Not only would that be a waste of money, but it would mean a second device I have to replace the batteries in. I also have a second closet nearby that is my pantry. My pantry door has a contact sensor on it so that it can control the light based on if the door is open or not. Automatic lights are really a nice quality of life improvement that are easy to do, and I try to have them set up wherever possible. Moving on to my kitchen, I have a Google Nest Hub Max that is perfect for watching some great tech and home automation videos on YouTube or playing music while cooking. Another feature I like about the Hub Max is that the video feed from my Nest Hello will automatically show up on the screen if the doorbell is pressed, and I can even talk with whoever is at the door.
No one can answer the door right now. We'll be notified you stopped by.
In a more recent UI update, the Google Nest Hub interface acts as a control center for your smart home connected devices. This allows for quick access to home control, such as controlling lights, locking or unlocking doors, triggering routines, and you can even pull up your cameras that are synced with Google Home. You can also use the Hub Max to help with recipes while cooking, and the experience isn't horrible, but I think it has a bit of a ways to go before it's going to be a primary feature for it. The Hub Max also doesn't do too well if you want to have a recipe up to follow along with while also watching your favorite bearded tech guy. Switching back and forth is a big pain and definitely could be improved on. Another quality of life improvement I have in my home has to do with my lighting in my kitchen. I actually have 6 separate light switches that all control separate lights or banks of lights. While I can walk around the kitchen to turn all the lights on and then walk around the kitchen again to turn all the lights off when I'm done, that gets old very quickly. So I replaced all the switches with smart switches that have double tap capability. This allows for the switch to be used normally, as well as give the ability to have 2 extra buttons within the switch by either pushing the top or bottom button twice. For these light switches, I have a WebCore piston set up that will turn on all the lights when any of the switches have their top button double tapped, and turn off all the lights when any of the switches have their bottom button double tapped. This is great and really has been helpful. And with the way the switches are set up, they all individually work just like a normal light switch as well. In my living room, I have an original Google Home smart speaker that has a portable battery base. The battery lasts for several hours, which is perfect for bringing my Google outside to listen to music or the news out on the patio. I also have a Logitech Harmony hub and universal remote control that lets me have a single remote for my TV, soundbar, HDMI switch, and Blu-ray player, while also allowing for my inputs to change automatically depending on the activity I am doing. With the Harmony hub, I actually have it tied into SmartThings, which allows for me to trigger different things based on a Harmony activity, such as turning on the TV to watch my Roku. Doing so will turn off any nearby smart lights, as well as turn on my TV backlight. Another smart home device I have in my living room is a smart pet feeder by Autopets. My cat loves to have her first breakfast early in the morning before I wake up, so an automatic pet feeder is a must for me. Having a smart pet feeder lets me know that she is being fed if there are problems with the feeder or if it's running low on food right from my phone. This is great for when I'm out traveling, so that I know she is still being fed, and is one less thing I have to worry about remembering because I get a notification when the feeder has less than 20% of its food remaining. I do also have a fireplace that is controlled by a Bond Smart Bridge that I will be talking about a bit more later in this video, but unfortunately the RF receiver on the fireplace has failed. Normally I would be able to turn the fireplace on or off with my voice through Google Home, or within either the Bond app or the SmartThings app. But with the fireplace being broken, I have to use a manual switch for it like a caveman. Walking into my laundry room will trigger a motion sensor that will turn on the light depending on the time of day. This is helpful when walking into the laundry room later in the day and you need a little extra light. I also set up my own version of a smart washer and dryer for notifications of when laundry is done. This helps to know when it's time to switch the wet clothes to the dryer, and it's easier to get a notification on my phone or through a voice assistant then try and listen for the washer or dryer's pretty quiet chime to go off. There are a few different ways to accomplish this, usually with some kind of contact sensor, but for me, I chose a bit of a different direction for my smart laundry room. Both my washer and gas dryer are on their own smart plugs that are used to monitor the amount of power that is being used. I have an automation set up that tracks the power usage of both my washer and dryer, and when either goes above a certain threshold, their state is updated to indicate they are running. Once the washer or dryer finishes running, a notification is triggered letting me know which one is done. If the washer completes its cycle, it'll be marked as having wet clothes and will continue to send a reminder notification every 15 minutes until the dryer is started. This makes sure wet clothes aren't left to get musty. Next to my DIY smart washer and dryer is a smart home device I'm glad I picked up a few years ago, and that is a litter robot. This automatic litter box detects when my cat uses it and cycles after a short period of time, removing any waste into a bag below. I then only have to empty it every other week or so, and my cat always has a clean litter box. I decided to go for one with built-in Wi-Fi that allows for me to get notified if there are any issues with the litter box, when it's time to empty it, and it'll keep track of historical use. So if my cat starts going to the bathroom more often, I can find out quickly and schedule a visit with the vet. Also, with its Wi-Fi capability, it is actually integrated into If This Then That, which allows for things such as having your robot vacuum run a cleaning cycle after the litter robot is used, or even order a pizza after it cycles. Because why not? My laundry room also has a leak detector sitting between my wash tub and washing machine. This sensor actually saved my butt because something fell into the wash tub and punctured it, causing the washing machine drainage to leak onto the floor. Luckily, I had a leak sensor that detected the water and notified me of the issue quickly, so I was able to deal with it before an entire washing machine worth of soapy water was poured onto my floor. My laundry room also has a door that leads to the garage. The door itself has a contact sensor on it that will trigger a smart light switch to turn on when opened if it's after sunset but before sunrise, as long as motion wasn't detected from the laundry room motion sensor within the last 15 seconds. Being set up like this will turn the light on if I'm coming in at night, but won't turn the light on if I'm leaving and have the light off for some reason. This door also has a Nest X Yale Smart Lock on it that allows for keyless entry and is tied into my Google Home account. The Nest X Yale Smart Lock allows for different people to have their own PIN codes to unlock the door, and I can even set time restrictions around those codes, which is pretty neat. This lock runs off of 4 AA batteries, and they last between 6 and 10 months depending on their usage. Opening up the screen door into the garage will trigger the garage smart light switch to turn on. I wish there was a 2-contact sensor available that would allow for me to have one sensor for both doors, as then I would have one less battery to replace, but for how I want the logic around my smart home setup, I unfortunately need my automations to be set up based on each individual door. While I do not have a smart garage door opener, I do have a contact sensor in my garage door. This sensor will trigger the garage lights to be turned on when opened, as long as the door between the garage and house hasn't been opened within 10 minutes prior. The sensor also drives an automation I have that will send a notification to my phone if the door has been open for too long at certain points in the day. In my garage, I also have a Google Home Mini that has a portable battery installed onto it. The Google Home Mini lets me listen to music while I'm doing work around the garage, as well as send or receive broadcasts with other Google Home devices in my house. The battery is nice because I can take the Google Home around the outside of my house so I can listen to music without having to wear headphones. This is nice if I'm tending to my garden or if I decide I want to have DJ Husky out for the day. The last piece of tech that's in my garage is not directly a smart home device, but is very important to being able to run my smart home, and that is one of my wireless access points. This Cisco Meraki wireless access point is one of 3 in my home, provides total wireless coverage in and around my home for my mobile devices, any wireless cameras I have, and any of the wireless smart home devices that are not Zigbee or Z-Wave Plus. Having strong and reliable wireless coverage is very important to have when building a smart home if you plan on using Wi-Fi based smart devices. My family room doesn't have too much in terms of smart home technology. It does have an original Google Home that gets used rather often to play music and to control a single lamp that is plugged into a smart switch. Unfortunately, this room doesn't have any hardwired lights, so the lamp on its smart switch is the only means of light at night in this room, which can make it difficult to see getting to the lamp to turn it on. Luckily, I have a nearby light switch for a different room that also has a smart light switch with double tap capability. So I set up an automation rule that will turn the lamp on when the top button is double pressed and turn the lamp off when the bottom button is double pressed. It works well for my use case, and it means I don't have to spend a lot of money to have new electrical run just for a light in my family room. My first floor also sports an iRobot 980 robot vacuum. The vacuum isn't tied into any specific schedule right now, but it is tied into my Google Home to allow for voice control over my robot vacuum. None of the bedrooms in my home have their lights or fans wired into a switch. Instead, each room had a wall switch that was tied into an outlet with separate hardwired ceiling fans with a built-in light. I considered running wiring from the fans down to the wall outlets, but that requires a bit more electrical skills than I have. So instead, I opted to hardwire the outlets to always on, bypassing the light switch, and replace the light switches with smart switches with double tap capabilities. The bedroom fans are all RF controlled fans, which means they are able to be integrated with my Bond Bridge Smart Hub. With the Bond Bridge, I'm able to turn the fans on or off, control the speed of the fans, and even turn the built-in lights on or off, right from my phone. My Bond Bridge is also integrated into my SmartThings hub, which allows for any of the fans on the Bond Bridge to be controlled directly in the SmartThings app, as well as within automations run on WebCore. Because of this integration, I'm able to mimic having my fans wired through my smart switches, even though they really aren't. With my automation rule, pushing the light switch up or down once will control the fan light, and double tapping either button will control the fan for that room. Also, because of the integration between Bond and SmartThings, the fans are also controllable by voice through my Google Homes, which has been more helpful than I originally expected. Something else all of my bedrooms have is smart curtains. This is accomplished with SwitchBot curtain bots that were released earlier in 2020. The SwitchBot curtains can retrofit a large array of different style curtain rods and run on a rechargeable battery that can last for several months between charging. I've been using mine every day since I got them from the Kickstarter I backed, and after 4 months the battery is nowhere near needing to be charged. They do pretty much only get used twice a day, which helps with battery life, but you can pick up optional solar panels for them like I did. Unfortunately, my curtain rods are too high, so the solar panels are not usable mounted on the bot itself. Instead, I would have to mount them onto the curtain itself, which I do not want to do. The curtain bots do run off of Bluetooth, so you don't actually need a hub for them to work. But I picked up a Hub Plus, which is a fun little cloud that changes color and gives me access to the bots over the internet, as well as the ability to integrate them into SmartThings. This integration works similar to my Bond Bridge integration, allowing me to use my SwitchBot devices in automations within SmartThings. Right now, this includes having all my curtains shut a few hours after sunset automatically, which is helpful because it's one less thing I have to deal with at night that happens every day. I had wanted to set up automations with my smart weather station and close the curtains in the front of my house when a certain level of sunlight is detected to help keep the house cool in the summer. But because the promised SmartThings integration isn't there, it's a bit more complicated to set up than it's worth at the moment. My bedroom also has a small walk-in closet with a door on it, which allowed for me to place a contact sensor on it that controls one of the few smart bulbs I actually have in my home. Just like all of my other closet automations, if the door is open, the light is on, and if it's closed, the light is off. If you haven't guessed by now, I really like automations with my lighting being controlled by contact sensors. The smart light bulb in my closet does dim and even change temperature, which I did consider setting up an automation for, but honestly, for my use case, just having it on a lower setting has worked fine for the last several years for me. My office doesn't have a lot of smart home tech in it currently. I have a smart switch that controls a lamp through a smart plug, a Google Nest hub, and the Bond Bridge itself to provide the most RF coverage in my house. I do have an LED light strip for bias lighting on my computer monitor, which is controlled through my Bond Bridge. But outside of those few things, nothing too crazy. Having a voice assistant around can be helpful when it's time for bed or putting a child down for a nap if you have one. You can set up a routine that does a whole bunch of things with just a single voice command. For example, I have a goodnight routine that will turn off any lights that may be on that aren't needed, close the curtains if they are open, and notify me of any doors or windows that are still open. It's time for bed.
Basement door, backyard door, and the garage door are closed. Sorry, it looks like front door isn't available right now. The bedroom window is open. Sorry, it looks like the playroom window isn't available right now.
You can add a bunch of other actions to your routines as well, like setting an alarm or telling you the news. You can likewise do the reverse and have a good morning routine that can open windows, turn lights on, and a whole range of other actions. If you want to have routines, but without a voice assistant, you can still accomplish a large portion of the tasks I mentioned and have them all triggered from either a smart switch or button that could be on your nightstand. You'll just need some kind of smart hub, such as SmartThings, Habitat, or Home Assistant. I also have an iRobot Roomba i7 Plus with self-emptying base station that runs when needed on my second floor. I really like not having to empty my Roomba every time it runs, and it is a lot more quiet compared to the 980. Another thing I like about my i7 Plus is that it can map out my rooms, and then I can use the room names with my Google Home to tell my Roomba to go clean a specific room. It also allows for scheduling specific rooms on certain days if I want to as well. Vacuum the office.
Got it. Starting Bender in office.
Taking a trip down to my basement, I have several water leak sensors that help monitor if either of my sump pumps have failed or are being overrun, as well as to keep an eye on if my hot water tank might be leaking. I also have a smart water valve installed that will get triggered if any of the leak sensors detect moisture, and the valve will automatically turn off the water to prevent major water damage. I mentioned the leak sensors in my basement and laundry room, but I also have them in my bathrooms and under my kitchen sink as well. This is because damage from a leak or plumbing issue can cause major damage to your home very quickly if not caught. And spending money on $30 sensors is well worth it if it means preventing large amounts of property damage or loss of items that hold personal value to me. I recommend if you have some kind of smart hub already in your house, consider at least picking up a few leak sensors so you can be notified if unexpected water is detected. They also have Wi-Fi sensors as well that you can consider if you aren't running a smart home hub today or using a Google Home or Amazon Voice Assistant instead. I also have a 3D printer, and while I don't see it as part of my smart home, I do use a smart plug to control power to it so that way it's only on when I need it, and I don't have to come all the way down to my basement to turn it on when I want to print something. I also have a smart smoke detector above it because apparently they can sometimes catch on fire. I'm not really sure how true that is, but I figured I'm better safe than sorry when it comes to a possible fire. The smart detector will send a push notification to my phone and also turn off the smart plug the 3D printer is plugged into. The last thing in my basement I will be taking a look at is my network rack. It hosts all the equipment needed for my connection to the internet, which my voice assistants need to function. My rack is also home to my Unraid server, which I use to store all my data on, as well as run a few Docker containers such as Plex and Home Assistant. Currently, my Unraid server has 64 terabytes of storage and is running with dual disk parity to help protect my data from loss. The rack also has several routers, switches, and other servers that I use to lab on for when I'm studying for a certification exam. On top of the rack, you'll find several of my smart hubs as well as an LTE network extender. Everything in my rack, except my lab equipment, is powered through a UPS that provides roughly 35 minutes of uptime in the event of a power outage. This means if the power is out for a few minutes, I don't have to worry about losing data on my server or my network equipment turning off. This also gives me enough time to gracefully shut down my servers if I feel a power outage is going to last for an extended period of time. There are a few things in my smart home that kind of cover the whole house, so I figured I'd save them until the end to go over. The first is my smart thermostat. I use an Ecobee 3, which I've had for over 4 years now, and have temperature sensors in pretty much every room. This helps control the rooms that may get a little too cold or a little too hot to try to keep them comfortable. The house I'm currently in has a whole home humidifier, which the Ecobee is able to control, which is a nice feature I like as well. The thermostat is pretty much set to a specific temperature based on the time of day and if the house is occupied or not, but there are a few automations that involve the thermostat as well. The first has to do with a few contact sensors I have on some of my windows. If any window is open for 15 minutes or more while the heat or AC are running, then a notification is sent to my phone to let me know. I could take it a step further and just have my HVAC turn off or have my Google Home say something, but I don't find that necessary. Another automation I have set up with my smart thermostat is if one of my smart smoke detectors throughout my house detects smoke. In the event of a smoke event, the furnace will turn off. The thought is that having the furnace running could push smoke through the house more quickly, so turning the furnace off should help prevent that. Something else I do with my window contact sensors, if any rain or high wind is detected on my weather station and any windows or doors are opened, then I also get a notification on my phone to let me know. This makes sure I don't have a bunch of rain end up in my house through my windows or in my garage. All of my home automation routines rely on smart devices that either are battery powered or plugged into power. Because of this, a device that has its battery run out or a device that is offline for some reason can cause my smart home to not be all that smart. So I have an automation that runs once a day that will let me know if any of my battery-powered devices are low on battery or if any of my devices are offline from my smart hub. This helps me to make sure all my devices are running and that my automations keep working as expected. I would love to know what everyone else is running in their smart home or any automations you might have that you like, so make sure to let me know in the comments below. I'll also have links in the description below for any videos I've already done on the different smart home automations and any devices I may have done a review on as well. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up as it helps the video perform better within the YouTube algorithm. And if you aren't already, consider subscribing to the channel and enabling notifications. It's free for you, and you'll know when I release other smart home and technology related videos. As I said at the beginning of the video, some of the products I showed in this video were given to me to do reviews on. Here's the list of all those devices. Any specific items that I covered in this video were of my own choice and had no outside influence. Thank you for watching.